Hello and a very good evening to you. Welcome to News First Primetime News live on TV1. I'm Shanjaram Party. Let's start off the look at tonight's headlines.
CID informs court that investigations will be done to ascertain if former DIG Nalaka de Silva is connected to Markandre Madhush and singer Amal Pereira. Prime Minister and Minister Adhiraj face public protest. MP Vijay's opinion about the Constitutional Council.
රටේ තිබෙන දූෂිත ආයතන අතරින් ඉතාමත්ම දූෂිත ආයතනයක් තමයි ව්‍යවස්ථාදායක සභාව.
Cabinet has ordered the Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy to purchase additional power on short-term basis in accordance with the Sri Lanka Electricity Act and with the approval of PUCSL.
Now for a comprehensive look at those stories. The Criminal Investigations Department informed court today that it will probe the information which has come to light, stating that former DIG of Police Nalaka de Silva and musician Amal Pereira had mutual relations with each other. The CID further informed court that it expects to obtain statements from both Amal Pereira and Markandre Madhush and added that it would seek the assistance of the international police to fulfill this task. The CID revealed in court today that musician Amal Pereira had arrived at former DIG Nalaka Silva's office for a meeting on the 21st of July 2016, adding that their mutual relationship is proved by this. The CID further revealed to courts that when Amal Pereira had arrived at the former DIG's office, a police constable attached to the office had questioned the reason for his visit, and at that moment, former DIG Nalaka Silva had acted irately and ordered for the police constable to be subject to a disciplinary inquiry and subsequently transferred to the Mount Lavinia police. These revelations had been made during a hearing pertaining to the case in connection with the plots to assassinate the President and former Defence Secretary. Former DIG of the Terrorist Investigation Division Nalaka Silva and Indian national Mercili Thomas, who was arrested over the aforementioned alleged assassination plot, was further remanded until the 27th of this month. Colombo Chief Magistrate Ranga Disanayaka ordered the police to provide facts regarding the investigations being carried out on the arrested Indian national at the next court hearing. Now, meanwhile, the Police Special Task Force inspected a house belonging to a relative of Markandre Madhush's mistress. The house was located in the Sapugaskanda area. Police media spokesperson SP Ruan Gunasekara said a van said to be belonging to the mother of the mistress and a Prado SUV said to be belonging to the uncle were seized. A 37-year-old suspect by the name of Mohammad Niaz Mohammad Azwar was arrested today. This person is said to be an accomplice of Kanchipani Imran, a suspect arrested in Dubai along with Markandre Madhush. He had been in charge of a building in Maligawat said to have been purchased with money earned through the sale of narcotics. Now on to another headline-making story. Tear gas and water cannons were used to disperse a protest staged by unemployed graduates. A protest was staged opposite the Fort Railway Station in Colombo demanding employment for graduates. The protest was staged by the National Centre of Graduates. The protest was organised to include a proposal to the budget document that is to be presented in Parliament on the 5th of March. The proposal contains several requests, including providing jobs to unemployed graduates.
Please grant the provision in order to provide jobs to all the 60,000 unemployed graduates mentioned in the budget. Please stop the internal and external downsizing. Change the age limit of 35 to 45 and when recruiting graduates, refrain from political influence and recruit them according to their age. If you do not get the answer by the 13th, this will grow into a struggle that will spread across the country.
The unemployed graduates then marched to the Presidential Secretariat on Lotus Road with an epistle to be handed over. The police barred their attempt by erecting barricades on the road opposite the Presidential Secretariat. When the protesters tried to remove the barricades and enter the Presidential Secretariat premises, the police fired tear gas and water cannons. Thereafter, 10 representatives from among the graduates were allowed to enter the premises and meet the Chief of Staff at the Presidential Secretariat. According to the representatives, the discussion, which spanned for nearly 2 hours with the Chief of Staff, has proved futile.
The discussion was unsuccessful. The president of this country does not accept the responsibility. They say they got to know about the issue only today. The 60,000 of us. Don't we have issues? We have continued our struggle even at the expense of a bloodshed on the streets.
Former Minister Vijay Rajapaksa convened a media briefing today.
The Constitutional Council is the most corrupt out of all the corrupt institutions. The Constitutional Council is not independent and it makes decisions based on political revenge. The judiciary of this country is in a massive crisis. The Constitutional Council has not led the President to appoint a chairperson to the Court of Appeal. It has come down to the level of politics done in provincial councils. The recommendation sent to make Solicitor General Suhada Gamlat the Attorney General was rejected because he was the Secretary to the Ministry of Law and Order during Mahinda Rajapaksa's regime. Senior DIG S.M. Vikramasinghe lost the position of Inspector General of Police as he was the Chief Security Officer of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. The Constitutional Council rejected the recommendations made by the President to appoint the current Acting Justice of the Court of Appeal, Deepali Vijay Sundara, as the chairperson of the Court of Appeal and to promote her to the Supreme Court was also rejected. The only reason to reject the recommendations is the verdict given by Justice Deepali Vijay Sundara on the White Flag Court case as a High Court judge. The President recommends names to be promoted to the Supreme Court only after obtaining a recommendation from the Chief Justice. So the Constitutional Council cannot determine if the conduct of the justices are good or not because they do not know. Because it is the judicial system and the Commission that knows the conduct of the judges. The Judicial Service Commission will not recommend a judge who is not good. If someone challenges the allegations I am making, I am ready to participate in a debate with all of them. I challenge all of them to join me on a live television debate.
The Cabinet decided to hold a party leaders meeting under the auspices of Speaker Karu Jayasuriya based on the proposal made by the President to hold all provincial council elections before the 31st of May. This meeting is scheduled to be held during the next 2 weeks.
A special cabinet paper was released by the President 2 weeks ago stating that all provincial council elections should be held before the 31st of May as per the preferential voting system. Subject Minister Vajira Abewardena presented his observations during a cabinet meeting held yesterday. Accordingly, he stated that if elections were to be held for all provinces on the same day, a letter will have to be forwarded by the Chief Ministers with their consent to dissolve the provincial councils whose terms have not yet ended. He further stated that the Provincial Councils Act requires amendments if the elections are to be held according to the old electoral system.
President Maithripala Sirisena has appointed a special committee to study the short-term and long-term issues faced by workers attached to tea estates and provide solutions to the said issues. The committee was appointed at a meeting held at the Presidential Secretariat to discuss the issues surrounding the daily wage of estate workers. Moving on to more local news, a case filed by the Police Financial Crimes Division over a land valued at over 60 million rupees in the Eliakanda area in Mathura was taken up before the Mathura Magistrates Court today.
As the Mathura Chief Magistrate was on leave, the case was moved to be heard before the Acting Magistrate and he moved the case to the Additional Magistrate. Thereby, the case was taken up before Mathura Additional Magistrate Ganga Rajapaksa. Mudita Jayakodi, the second defendant in the case, requested permission to travel overseas and he was permitted to travel overseas for 2 weeks. The case was postponed until the 19th of June. At the moment, the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramana is in the process of preparing a development program that will be embraced by all 36,000 villages in the country, which will be presented after an SLPP president is sworn in on the 9th of December. In addition, we are preparing a program that will ensure 500,000 families in the country will be those that can afford things and be successful. We hope to carry out a series of programs under a new president.
Officials representing the independent organization to protect ETI depositors arrived at the CID today.
The officials arrived at the CID to provide a statement pertaining to a complaint which had been previously lodged.
For 8 years, the ETI agency has been misleading the people and were carrying out a massive scam by issuing false account details and statistics. All this was done while knowing that they did not have money in their drawers. On the 22nd of May 2017, the directors of ETI have provided a written notice to the central bank stating that they are unable to pay back the depositors. They had then enticed people to deposit the money, and then the directors of ETI had embezzled money under the guise of deposits. This scam has been carried out strategically with the assistance of the central bank officials. There is a massive conspiracy behind this. We believe the CID will launch a broad investigation into this and provide the depositors with some relief.
ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් පුළුල් පරීක්ෂණ කරලා තැන්පත් කරුවන්ට සාධාරණ ඉෂ්ට කරයි කියලා.
බිලියන 35කට ආසන්න තැන්පතු අරගෙන
The central bank took this agency under its supervision when it had obtained deposits worth more than 35 billion and had a net worth of around 15 billion. It was then revealed that Mano Tittawalla was responsible for this. Later on, this was sold to the infamous Laika mobile company by agents. Now the issue is the depositors are questioning as to what is being done with their money. The issue we are facing now is the person behind this deal is the former High Commissioner of Sri Lanka to Singapore, Nimal Weeraratne. He is an activist of the UNP. We would like to ask Mano Tittawalla if he is willing to bear the responsibilities of these depositors for the job security and rights of the workers. What connection does Nimal Weeraratne and Rajaratnam Sellavaskantan have with this? What is this deal that they struck to sell off this ETI group of companies which belongs to Swarna Mahal? They should reveal this to the country.
ETI ඇතුළු මේ සමාගම් ජාලේ විකුණන්න කරපු ගනුදෙනුව මොකද්ද? රටට කියන්න ඕනේ.
A controversial revelation was made through the media the other day stating that ETI group of companies obtained its assets in a very conspiratorial manner. The details of the group who was behind this have now come to light. The most noticeable names from this group are Rajaratnam Sellavaskantan, Nimal Weeraratne, Alex Lovell and Mano Tittawalla, who is the advisor to the Minister of Finance. All of these people are connected to this illegal deal. We request the authorities to launch a probe into this and provide relief to those parties who have been adversely affected by this.
Well, if you do feel like you have any opinion or views you need to express on the contents of News First, you can do so on feedback@newsfirst.lk. The address once again is feedback@newsfirst.lk. And the Kurunagala Vishwo, the national school, was vested with the students under the Langama Pasala Hondama Pasala initiative. The event was held under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
The villagers obstructed the road the Prime Minister was travelling on and staged a protest. They said the new school that was declared open had refused to admit students from the neighbouring areas. As a result, the Prime Minister and the invitees to the event were obstructed from entering the location where the event was being held. The police had to intervene to make way for the invitees to participate in the occasion. After much effort, the invitees managed to enter the premises of the event. The protesters dispersed after the Minister of Education, Akila Viraj Karyawasam, promised to look into the matter. Deputy Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade, Nalin Bandara, convened a media briefing today.
We saw Arjuna Aloysius was present at Rohita's wedding. Some people did not take notes of this. If we were there, we could have seen all of these displays put up. What we have to say to the people who sling mud at us is the UNP did not protect the bond scam thieves. The UNP enacted the law against those thieves. They were remanded for many months. No one dares to speak when Arjuna Aloysius attended the wedding of Rohita. We clearly state that Arjuna Mahendran should be arrested.
හිටපු ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ බාල පුත්‍රයාගේ මංගල්‍යයට ඇලෝසියස් ගියා කියලා. මොකද එතන රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා ගිහිල්ලා හිටියා. එතුමත් එක්ක ගියාද කියලා මම මේ බැලුවේ. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයා ගියේ තංගල්ලේ තිබුණා.
There were many celebrations of the wedding on different days. Ranil Wickremesinghe attended the Tangol ceremony. As far as I am aware, Aloysius had attended the wedding mass ceremony that was held in church in Colombo. Ranil Wickremesinghe did not go there. Did he?
සාමාන්‍යයෙන් තියෙනනේ අපි දෙන්න දෙකට ඕම් කම ඔහොම තියන්නේ ඉතින් කිව්වා ඒ යන්නේ. එහෙම දාස. මට ඔබතුමා යවුනේ කියලා.
Very good evening to you. We are joining you with an update of a story that we have been following with regard to the power sector in the country. I'm sure you remember the report that we carried regarding this particular paper advertisement that was published for a supplementary electrical power purchase on short-term basis. Now, back in the day when we reported on this, we said that the proper approvals were not obtained for this power purchase and that there was a crisis surrounding this power purchase agreement. Now, what we reported back then has come to light now and action has been taken. Now, when we reported on this matter, as I mentioned earlier, we clearly mentioned that if you are to go into a supplementary power purchase or an emergency power purchase, they have used the word supplementary here, but let's call it an emergency power purchase, you have to obtain the approval of the cabinet and you also have to obtain the approval of the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka. Those two are a must if you're going in for an emergency power purchase. Now, when this paper advertisement was published, we made it a point to make it known to the public that the approval of the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka had not been received, whereas this had only received the approval of the cabinet. On the 22nd of January this year, this request made for the Cabinet of Ministers was approved. But thereafter, on the 28th of January 2019, we see that the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka sending in a letter to the chairman of the Cabinet appointed Standing Procurement Committee saying that the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka is not aware of a supplementary power purchase of this nature, and if you're to go in for an emergency power purchase, the documents pertaining to the tender process must be sent to the PUCSL, the Public Utilities Commission, and that it had not happened. Now, what the Cabinet appointed Procurement Committee has done thereafter is to send this letter that they received to the Cabinet of Ministers. Now, there at the Cabinet of Ministers at this juncture has understood that they have been deceived, that the cabinet approval has been sought in the wrong manner, and this could not go forward without the approval of the Public Utilities Commission, and they have now ordered the Ministry Secretary, Dr. Suren Batagoda, the Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy, to stop doing this, and if an emergency power purchase and a supplementary power purchase needs to be done, that has to be done as per the Electricity, the Power Act in the country, and as with the approval of the Public Utilities Commission. Now, a point that we want to raise at this juncture is that we reported on this matter on several occasions, similar to how we reported on the bond scam, how we reported on the Central Expressway scam in the country, how we reported on the continuous losses made by the national carrier Sri Lankan Airlines all the time, and piece by piece information has come out, and now we see that a positive step has been taken with regard to the Public Utilities Commission and this supplementary electrical power purchase. I leave you with a promise that we at News First will keep a close watch on the corruption that continues to happen in our country, be it by the politicians, be it by the people who hold power, be it by the state employees, and we will report it to the public so that as in this incident we received a positive outcome, we will continue to report it to you so that you are aware. Shine, it's back to you.
Well, thank you very much, Athiranga. Likely, just as he said, News First will be closely monitoring the situation and keep you in the know as and when we get reports. And if you have any views or opinions you'd like to share with us, you can do so on feedback@newsfirst.lk. That is feedback@newsfirst.lk. Now, moving on with more news. MP Mahinda Yapa Abewardena made the following remarks at an event held today. We have noticed that when the UNP faces a disadvantageous situation, they opt to postpone the debate. It is MP Sumandiran who does this. He gets involved, brings in a legal issue or some of the problem and somehow postpones the debate. We view this court case in the same perspective. We foresee that it will be postponed. This court case too will be postponed indefinitely. These are types of stunts they pull off. The only message we have to give to the general public is that this is how democracy is exercised in this country. This protest was staged against the multi-purpose water project of the Sitawaka River and the construction of an electricity power plant in the Roo Castle area surrounding the Sitawaka River. All the shops in the Darniagala town were closed in support of the protests.
A project is planned to make the Kalana River an extended drain from Hangwala to Crow Island. In addition, there is an attempt to build 4 reservoirs upstream of the Kalana River to control the floodwaters in Colombo. This is absurd. This is an attempt to let the dirty politicians and the businessmen to grab the properties in Colombo, to hijack the paddy fields in the lowlands and to suppress the people of Dharaniyagala by completely forgetting the natural methods of controlling floodwaters. We urge the President, the Prime Minister and Minister of Lands to bring a stop to this immediately. Then the protesters reached the Dharaniyagala Divisional Secretariat and handed her an epistle containing the signatures of the people.
We know that there is a proposal like that. We have been informed in various ways. We knew that the people are in opposition of the construction of an electricity power plant. We are hoping to inform the government of this.
United National Party parliamentarian Chaminda Vijay, who was accused of assaulting a police constable, was released on bail. He was released when the case was taken up at the Bandarawala Magistrates Court this morning.
The UMP MP was released on bail after he surrendered to court with his security officer. The magistrate had ordered for him to be released on 2 surety bails worth 500,000 rupees and a cash bail worth 10,000 rupees. Further, he has been ordered to appear before the Bandarawala police on Sundays once in every 2 weeks. MP Vijay's personal security officer was also given the same order and released on bail. MP Chaminda Vijay and his personal security officer has allegations levelled against them for allegedly assaulting an official attached to the Police Narcotics Bureau. The case was postponed until the 25th of this month.
Cabinet approval has been granted for the Dr. Neville Fernando Teaching Hospital to be run as the Colombo East Teaching Hospital. This was approved based on a proposal presented by Minister of Health Dr. Rajitha Senaratne.
Therefore, the Dr. Neville Fernando Teaching Hospital will carry out services to the general public as a government-line teaching hospital, such as the Sri Javardhanapura Teaching Hospital, since it comprises all facilities which are required to provide health services to the people living in the Colombo East, Colombo, Kadwela and Malabe, since these areas consist of a high population. The cabinet approval was also granted to suspend the importation of pepper, cinnamon, tamarind and other spices and to avoid re-exportation of these products as Sri Lankan products. This was based on a proposal put forward by Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade Malik Samaravikrama. In accordance with the report of the committee appointed by the President, 10 major faults that caused many traffic accidents were identified and revised penalties were imposed. This too was approved by the Cabinet of Ministers. Thus, the relevant draft bills will be presented to Parliament after the respective gazette is published.
Police media spokesperson SP Ruwan Gunasekara has confirmed that investigations are underway with a view towards seizing assets belonging to 50 underworld kingpins.
The current high expectations on the fight against the drug menace has been fueled by the arrest in Dubai of Markandure Madush. Simultaneously, concerns are also being raised as to the assets of others involved in serious financial crimes, especially involving public monies. The central bank bond scam, which attracted grave concern and consternation amongst the public, was notable for the Presidential Commission of Inquiry holding then Governor Arjuna Mahendran responsible for passing price-sensitive information and acting mala fide in the interest of Perpetual Treasuries Limited. Recently, it was revealed that the Prime Minister and the Attorney General's Department had discussions as to the wording of the Registered Stocks and Securities Ordinance. In Sri Lanka, there is a growing call that convicted criminals must not be permitted to keep or profit from the proceeds of their crimes. There are other serious financial scams that have been carried out at the expense of and detriment to the public interest. Such serious departures from due process has included, for example, the building of highways, including the controversial Phase 3 of the Central Highway project, the virtual sale of the Hambantota port, the negotiations ongoing in connection with the Mattala airport, and perhaps most significantly, the corruption at Sri Lankan Airlines, especially the cancellation of orders for new aircraft and the payment of penalties due to the cancellation. Sri Lankan Airlines had as its CEO Suren Ratwata, who is also known to be sibling of Charita Ratwata, perhaps making him an ideal candidate for being a politically exposed person. There are growing calls that all those associated with high-value national procurement matters should declare their interest at the outset and be required to provide their personal asset declarations to include the interest and declaration of family members.
The Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, has urged poor countries in the world to desist from using global consultancy firms to write development strategies.
She criticized such global consultants, asking the representatives of the McKinsey's and Boston's consultancy groups and any other consultancy firms in the room to listen to her even as she made the uncomfortable comments about their work. She said, quote, "I am looking around to see whether there are any of the McKinsey's and Boston's consulting groups, and if there are, please listen to me," unquote. She further added, quote, "I see many low-income countries and emerging marketing economies spending millions of dollars commissioning consultants to build their strategic plan. I would recommend some savings be made by taking the 17 principles, the accountable items, and start with that," unquote. She argued that the low-income and emergency marketing economies must raise more revenue domestically and cut white elephant projects and corruption. She further added that the private sector must play an important role if poorer countries were to ever achieve the 17 development goals set by the UN. As per the information available, the government of Sri Lanka has obtained global consultancy services over the years. In 2016, the Cabinet of Ministers approved $2.3 million for the US-based McKinsey & Company, a management consultancy, to help set up a Malaysian-style unit monitor and carry out government programs aimed to accelerate economic transformation. The consultancy firm was hired for 3 months to help train and set up program management units in September of 2016. In 2017, the Cabinet selected McKinsey & Company as the consultation company for the preparation of strategies for digital economy in the island. Telecommunication and Digital Infrastructure Minister said the cost of this exercise is around $1.425 million. Sri Lankan Airlines has also spent on international consultancy firms over the years, including Seabury, Skyworks and Nairas of UK. The government also received consultancy from other global firms over the years, including Singapore-based urban planning consultancy Sabana Jurong Private Limited.
The Citra Social Innovational Lab, co-developed by the Ministry of Science, Technology and Research and the United Nations Development Programme, was launched under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe today.
As Sri Lanka's first public sector innovation lab, Citra works to strengthen institutions, build capacities of the public sector and re-engineer public service delivery through specialized foresight and innovation tools.
I am looking at tomorrow's problems. Is this model outdated? Has the divisional structure have we got to rethink of it? And how do we digitalize it when half the people in the village are already carrying sophisticated handphones? Now this is the big challenge we have. Our divisional, administration at divisional level must work.
So the main objective of Citra, as I am directed to create the first social innovation lab aligned to support national development priorities through prototyping and testing development solutions and ideas so that they become future proof before rollout. There are about 12 institutions in my ministry, main institutions, which are working on science, technology and research. So we need a coordination. We need a coordinating body, and Citra could do that coordination for us. And there's another body in my ministry. It's going to be Nastica now. We are trying to regularize Nastica so that it will be a coordination body, bringing science, technology and research and taking it to the general public. So I thought the best way for us to take this to the general public is to have an exposition, something more than exhibition.
The reports by Beta Analytic Radiocarbon Dating Services, Florida, USA, on the bone samples recovered from the Manama grave will most likely be sent to Sri Lanka tomorrow.
Speaking to reporters, Chief Judicial Medical Officer in charge of the Manama grave excavation, Dr. Saminda Rajapaksa said, so far 316 individual skeletal remains have been identified and 307 of them were removed from the Manama grave. Today is the 144th day of excavation at the Manama grave. Dr. Saminda Rajapaksa said the radiocarbon dating laboratory will not be giving an exact date of demise on the skeletal remains, but will provide a period for a range of 10 years. He stressed 26 pediatric skeletons were recovered from the site.
According to reports, a luxury vehicle which was purchased for Sri Lanka cricket has mysteriously reappeared at the car park of the Sinhalese Sports Club 8 months after it was purchased.
The footage shows several luxury SUVs which have been purchased for high-ranking officials of SLC parked at its compound. While approval has been granted for the procurement of these 8 luxury SUVs during the previous administration of SLC, Sports First has learned that the SUVs which were spotted at SSC yesterday was one of which had not been seen before. Upon further inquiry, Sports First captured how the SUVs have been parked at the SEC close to the rear entrance of the Sri Lanka Cricket. Internal sources at Sri Lanka Cricket said there is no clear indication as to who used this vehicle.
A press conference in line with the 85th Battle of the Saints, the annual cricket encounter between St. Joseph's College, Colombo and St. Peter's College was held yesterday. This year's the Battle of the Saints will be played on the 1st and 2nd of March at the Pisara Oval Grounds, Colombo.
This year's Battle of the Saints will be played on the 1st and 2nd of March at the Pisara Oval Grounds in Colombo.
In Joseph's and St. Peter's, we have a bounden duty to do whatever we do with some quality. But what is important is to display gentleman qualities. We give them value education. We focus on the discipline. Discipline comes first.
The very first Battle of the Saints was played in 1933 at St. Peter's grounds, and St. Joseph's clinched the win by an inning and 105 runs.
It's not only the match between the two teams that we are concerned with, but we are concerned with also the friendship and the fellowship the old boys share among themselves. And today we get so many batchers forming as batchers and coming to watch these matches. So that gives them an opportunity to meet one another from their batches. We see people coming from overseas, especially for the big match and the 50-over match. So this helps to inculcate good values in everyone who comes to watch the match.
In the past 84 encounters between these two prestigious schools, St. Joseph's have won the trophy 12 times, while St. Peter's have bagged the trophy 10 times. This time around, the Josephians will be led by off-spinner Ashane Daniel, whilst the Peterites will be under the captaincy of all-rounder Ranmit Jayasen.
And that brings a wrap to News First Primetime News tonight. Thank you very much for watching. It was a pleasure having you with us. I'm Shahin Jirampati. Good night and take care.